a class on cryptocurrency, on how understanding cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. All right. And so we have a guest in the house that will be taking us through on that topic. And so I want to encourage each and every one of us to actually pick your pen, pick your jotter or your notebook, and get be amazing. It's going to be life transforming. Actually, this class is going to give for because I actually know that a lot of people wants to learn cryptocurrency, but they don't really know how to go about it. Okay, so that's why we are having this class, and it's going to be a 5 day series where we'll be unveiling everything about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. All right, but first of all, I want to apologize for the challenge we had yesterday. We couldn't come live because of one or two challenges, and so before I hand over to Mr. Ali to take over the class. I want to know if you can hear me loud and clear. Please use the comment section, that's the comment box. Just comment that you can hear me loud and clear so that I'll be sure that you can hear me so that when he comes online, so that we not when he takes over, so that we'll not have people saying they can't hear him clearly. So if you can hear me, please just comment. Use the comment section, please. If you can hear me loud and clear, use the comment section and say I can hear you. All right. So I'm waiting for you guys to do that. All right. Somebody has commented. Let me see. Yes, we can hear you. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate. All right. So without wasting much of our time, I'm going to bring Mr. Ali. Okay. Of course, he has been here. All right. He's going to take up the class on how he's going to explain because this class actually is for we decide to start from the basic. So even if you don't know anything about cryptocurrency, the aim is that by the end of this series, okay, you would have come to a certain level of understanding of what cryptocurrency and blockchain is all about. So we are going to, at this moment, I want to introduce Mr. Ali. Of course, he's a crypto analyst. He's a cool guy that have actually taken his time to study cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And so he has a whole lot to share with us this night. And so I would like to also, yes, I can see Mr. David Timothy. Thank you very much. Thank you, bro. Yeah. So he is going to take us through this class. All right. So while the class is going on, in case you have questions, please just drop it on the comment section. We are going to take them at the end of his teaching, okay? So, Mr. Ali, good to have you on board.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Jubilant James, and I'm really happy to be here with you to share the little knowledge I have about blockchain and cryptocurrency. I hope you can all hear me loud and clear.
Yeah, sure, we can.
All right, so um, as we have said earlier, in the group, for those that have been in the WhatsApp group, and for those that are also following Jubilant James updates on Facebook and on YouTube, we have said a lot of things that we have given you the course outline we are going to discuss on this blockchain and cryptocurrency. All right, so for today, this class is actually going to take 5 days. It's going to be a 5 days class, and for today, we are going to be discussing about introduction to blockchain and cryptocurrency. So in our subsequent classes, we are going to have other topics to discuss, and we will make sure we cover everything. So as Mr. Jubilant James has said earlier, he said this class is for everybody. Some of us are actually into cryptocurrency before. Some of us are blockchain analysts. Some of us don't even know anything about blockchain technology or cryptocurrency. So this class is actually for everybody. We're going to start from the scratch, from the beginners level down to the intermediate level and to the advanced level. And I hope by the end of this course, everyone should be able to, understand what cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is all about. All right, so I'm going to be sharing my screen with you guys. I'm going to be sharing my screen. I prepared some slide. I'm coming. Okay. Yes. So we're going to be talking about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. All right. So first of all, this is our plan of attack. What I mean by plan of attack is our course outline. So first, we're going to be talking about the evolution of money. All right. You know, there was a time, there was a currency they were using before they started using paper money, and how everything evolved down to the point that we start using our digital currency. We're going to talk about the evolution of money. We're also going to talk about why we need cryptocurrency, and we are going to talk about how the fiat currencies, that is the government issued currencies, how they affect our savings. We're also going to talk about the centralized ledger, what is blockchain and cryptocurrency, the evolution of web, that is the evolution of our internet, and we're also going to talk about blockchain technology in relation to Bitcoin and money. And lastly, we're going to talk about Web 3.0, why we choose Web 3.0 over Web 2.0. I know some of these terminologies we are using here are somehow strange to most of us here. All right, so don't worry about it. We are going to discuss in details what they actually mean. So before we commence, I want you to take note of these few points. All right, these are just few tips I have for you in this course. All right, it's not enough for us to just explain what these things are all about without having few tips that will guide you through this session. The first point I have here is that, okay, let me use my lesser point. All right. So the first point I have here is that I want you to know that blockchain technology is actually a complex technology. All right. When I talk about blockchain technology, I'm not talking about cryptocurrency this time. I'm talking about the technology itself, technology that guides cryptocurrency. It's actually a complex technology, and very few people know about it at this moment. So if you are actually in this class, or if you are in this session, if you are in this live session, you know that you are very lucky to be among those uh that are trying to know about it at this early stage. So you are early. So you need to take your time to learn it. Now the second point there is that you need to get your skin in the game. All right, what I mean by this point is that uh, you might attend hundreds of courses in a cryptocurrency, invest in it. You have not done anything. Let me just put it that way, because you might actually think you know what it's all about, but along the line, when you see that, when you try to invest, you see that you start having some failures. The reason is that you think you know it, but you have not part of the system, so you can't really understand what these things are all about. So if you really want to understand what cryptocurrency and blockchain is all about, you need to at least, even if it's just $10, $5, try to invest in one or two things. That is, anything, any of the things you learn here, try to practice it. No, it's not just about learning it, you have to practice it too, so that you will understand what these things are all about. And the third point I have here is that you have to have patience. All right, as I said earlier, blockchain technology is still in its infant stage, so you need to be patient and just know that it's what is going to take over the web in the next 10 years and above. And lastly, I want you to always take jot down points. All right, you might think you understand better when you listen, but once you jot down points, you won't be able to forget it. That is, when this class ends, you'll be able to refer back to some of the things that you learned in this session. All right, so let's get started. Let's get started. Coming. So let's talk about the evolution of money. Let's talk about the evolution of money. As you can see on my screen, this is how money started, how transactions were carried out in our world, and this is the point we are presently. So the evolution of money. Money started, or transactions were carried out using the barter system at the inception. All right. What do I mean by barter system? People use the products they have, that is the goods they have, they use it to purchase other items. For example, I have some livestock like goats and sheep, and I want to purchase food items. I want to purchase food items in the market. I can just use my goats to purchase some bags of rice and so on and so forth. That is how they transact in the olden days. That is, look at the year around 9,000 BC. Now, after that, they moved to using cowries to purchase items. Then, in China, they produced the first metallic coin. All right, they produced coin in China in the year 1000 BC. So they continued like that until the first paper money was created in China in the year 800 AD. They started using paper money, and along the line, some Western countries like Sweden adopted the use of paper money. They adopted the use of paper money in the year 1661. All right, you can see that it started somewhere, and along the line, this one became obsolete. The barter system became obsolete. Use of cowries became obsolete, and so on and so forth till they started using paper money. Now, after paper money was created and adopted by other countries, uh, some more improvements were made by creating electronic mode of transfer or electronic mode of transaction. You see, in the year 1951, the first credit card was created, and in England, the first ATM was created in 1967, and in 1999 they created the mobile banking, and we have been using this mobile banking, even the paper money we have been using it till this moment. But you'll find out that as one comes after the one that comes after it always overshadow the one that comes before it, even if it does not become obsolete completely. Some people might still use barter system these days. They might use barter system, all right? They might be using barter system, but it's not so common. It's not so common. Paper money is actually going in extinction, but we still don't understand. Let me give you an example. If you are watching me from Nigeria, you would understand that um when you want to buy airtime, let's use airtime as an example. Many of us as have purchased airtime, going to buy recharge card from the vendors that sell recharge card. What you just do is to use mobile banking. You can just type your USSD code to purchase your item. So what paper money can do, mobile banking has come to um overtake it. ATM also, instead of using cash, some people use POS now. They use POS. In fact, when you go to some restaurant or some eateries, you can use POS to pay instead of holding cash around. So you can see that these modes of transactions are actually coming to overshadow the one that come before them. All right. So in 2009, this is where we are going to. In 2009, Bitcoin was created. The Bitcoin white paper was released. They said it was created by a man called Satoshi Nakamoto. Many of us are familiar with this name, Satoshi Nakamoto. Actually, some people say it's not a person. We don't know the person. That's the truth. We don't know the person, but they said it was created by, in the white paper you see it there. It was created by Satoshi Nakamoto, and he gave some guidelines or some protocols how Bitcoin work. Okay, how Bitcoin works. So I'm going to drop the white paper in the description below, and for those that are on the WhatsApp group, I'm going to send the white paper to you on the group. So this mode of transaction, this Bitcoin, actually explained how the system work and how it's came to correct what the mobile banking or our fiat currencies are lacking. All right, it came to solve the problem of what the fiat currencies are lacking, and we are going to understand how Bitcoin works and how it came to correct it, and we're going to also understand the problem with our fiat currencies. All right, so let's move on. So why do we need cryptocurrency? Okay, why did Satoshi Nakamoto come up with blockchain technology? Before that, we need to understand how the fiat currency work. That is how the government issued currencies, how they work, and the problem they face, and problem they're actually causing for we investors, or we the citizens that spend the currency. All right. So as you can see on my screen, this is a 2022 news. All right. You can see almost a fifth of all US dollar were created this year. That is, if you look at the total circulation of US dollar, the US dollar in circulation, 1/5 of all these US dollar in circulation were printed this year. How is that a problem? You understand how that is a problem. So, um, the problem with printing money is that when you print more money, when you print more money, you're actually making people richer. And when you make people richer with limited supply of goods, the goods that you have in circulation still remain the same, but you are pumping in more money into the system. You are automatically going to increase the price of those goods. All right, and that is what is happening in our in our um in our system, in our government system, our fiat currency system. They are pumping more money to the system, and when you pump money to the system and you have limited supply of goods, it's going to increase the price automatically. I know you might be confused about this, but I'm going to explain further. Okay, let's use this as an example. In 2010, we have an apple. Let's say this apple costs just $1. This apple cost $1 in 2010. All right. In 2020, The apple is going to cost $2. Why is it going to cost $2? All right. Why is it going to cost $2? Let me give you an example. Look at this. Look at this example on my screen. The number of goods. Let's assume the number of goods in circulation. Let's assume we have 1 million apple in Nigeria. We have 1 million apple in Nigeria, and the money everyone have. When you gather all the money that everyone have, let's say the government shared a fixed amount of money to everyone, and um the total money that was shared was $10 million. We have $10 million and we have 1 million apple in the system. When you divide $10 million by 1 million, it's going to give you what? 10. That is, the price of each apple is going to cost $10. This is a very simple mathematics, right? We have $10 million and we have 1 million apple. So it automatically, each of these apple is going to cost how much? $10. That's very simple. But now we still have one apple in the system. All right. These people haven't bought the apple. We just have 1 million apple in the system, and the government decide to pump another $10 million, decide to share $10 million to everyone. Now we have $20 million in the system, and we have $1 million, 1 million apple in the system. When you divide this by this, it's going to give you 20. That is, the cost of each apple is going to give you what? $20. That's automatically how the thing works. And that is what they call inflation. If you have heard the word inflation, inflation happens when there is increase in price. All right. When there is increase in price of a particular commodity, a particular goods, and the supply of that goods remain the same. All right. So this happened. This a very common example of this inflation is Venezuela. Let's look at Venezuela as an example. Venezuela is a country. The government were printing more money. They were printing more money. They were pumping more money into the system, and they don't have enough goods. They don't have enough goods to cover up for the money they are pumping into the system. Now people started paying, they started paying more and more and more for for a particular item that they get at a cheaper price. Look at coffee, for example. Look at this coffee, for example. In 1970, a cup of coffee can cost $0.25, but due to inflation in 1980, people started buying it at $0.45. The more they print money into the system, the more the price of these things increase, and year by year is going to increase. Another perfect example of this is, okay, let's use Nigeria as an example. We can easily relate to what's happening in our system. All right, let's look at the price of pure water. Yes, many of us are familiar with this sachet water. Many of us are familiar with it. The price of sachet water was once 5 naira. Today we have it at 20 naira. This is a very perfect example of how inflation works. Now imagine in the year 2010. I don't know when. Okay, let's say in 2010, pure water cost 5 naira. Now it costs 20 naira. You might think the difference is small, but I'll make you understand how big the difference is. In 2010, if you have 5,000 naira, you will be able to buy 100. Am I right? 100. Sorry, 1,000 pieces, 1,000 sachet of pure water. Yes. In 2010, if you have 5,000 naira, you can buy 1,000 sachet of pure water. All right. Now, if you decide not to buy pure water at that moment, all right, and you take that 5,000 naira, you save that 5,000 naira in your bank account till this moment. If you save that 5,000 naira in your bank account till this moment, now you now decide to buy the pure water again. You decide to buy pure water. You are supposed to buy 1,000 sachet of pure water if you bought it early. But when you are saving it in your bank account and inflation happens, that your 5,000 naira, do you know how many pure water you'll be able to buy now? Let's do the mathematics. 5,000 divided by 20. You will be able to buy only 250 sachet of pure water. You can see the problem with inflation. So that's one of the major problem that our fiat currencies face. All right, our fiat currencies face that major and this is one of the things that cryptocurrency has come to solve. In cryptocurrency, they don't print more currency. Bitcoin, for example, when it was created, we have just a total of 21 million Bitcoin. Since when it was created until the day is going to end, there is no other Bitcoin that is going to be created. we are not going to have up to 21 million and one Bitcoin. No, that's never going to happen. Okay, so that's one of the major problem and the solution that cryptocurrency has come to solve for the fiat currencies. Now, so we have talked about how it affects your saving. Now let's imagine in a developed country like the US and Canada and some other countries where they have very low inflation rates. You can see, imagine you have $1,000, $100,000 in your bank account, and the inflation is 5% year on year. That your $100,000 by next year is going to, the value of the $100,000 is going to cost just $95,000. Obviously you're going to have $100,000 in your bank account, but it's not going to what the $100,000 was at this moment. By next year it's going to worth $95,000. The year that comes after it, if you continue saving it in your bank account, the year after it, you're going to have $90.25. And if you continue saving it like that and on and on and on, you see that your money will continue to decrease in value. It will continue to decrease in value. Trust me, if you have 100,000 naira in your bank account right now, I want to give you this challenge. I want you to save that money till next year. And you see that the item you'll be able to buy with that $100,000 right now, you won't be able to buy it in the next 3 months. Don't let us use a year as an example. In the next 3 months, you'll not be able to buy that item. And that's the problem we are facing with our fiat currencies. The government prints more money, and by printing this money, it's actually affecting the price of the goods we have in circulation. So I hope you understand that perfectly. All right. So we also have other problems that the fiat currencies face. A perfect example is the bank can go bankrupt. I know many of us may not be familiar with it. Our bank can file for bankruptcy, and you know I don't know if the government is going to have something to do about it when it happens, but I pray it does not happen. Also, the political instability can affect your currency. If there's crisis in the country, look at other countries that face crisis. You see that their currencies. Look at Venezuela as an example. To the political crisis in the country would affect it, makes money valueless. You know, if Nigeria is facing a very huge crisis now, which I don't pray for, 1 million naira can become nothing. Look at Zimbabwe. Yes, there was a time Zimbabwe dollar. If you see Zimbabwe at times they have currencies that are in trillion. You can see just one note is in trillion. Some of all these things, when the country is not stable, it affects their currency too. So also the government can also speed up inflation by by printing more money. All right. So these are the things that cryptocurrencies will never face. All right. There is no government. There's no government in charge. As we continue down it, because you are going to understand what I mean by there is no government, and why the cryptocurrency is not going to face these challenges that the fiat currencies are facing. All right. So let's move on. Let's move on. Now let's talk about the centralized ledger. All right. The centralized ledger. What I mean by centralized ledger. Now, don't let this word confuse you. All right, don't let it confuse you. What I mean by centralized ledger, we're going to take it one after the other. What's a ledger? What's a ledger? A ledger is just simply, let me just make it simple. A ledger is a book where transaction is stored. All right, a book where transaction is stored. For example, look at this book at the down left corner here. Let's assume this is what the bank is using. For example, I send money to Jubilant James. You can see Ali sent 20,000 naira to Jubilant James at this so date. The date and time and other relevant information, my signature, might be stored in that book. This is just simply what a ledger is. Now, when we say a centralized ledger means this ledger you are seeing here is not going to be in my possession. All right, it's not going to be in any other person's possession except a central body, all right, like the central bank or your banks. All right, so people are in charge, some people are in charge, and they can decide to do anything to it, and you who is an investor here will not even do anything about it. All right, so anything can happen to this book. The bank can get bonds, or someone can just come to steal the book. Anything can happen to this book, and you won't know anything about it, or you won't be able to uh, report a case regarding this item, because you are not in charge. A central body is in charge. Now, what is now the difference between a centralized ledger and a decentralized ledger? All right. Okay. Obviously, when I talk about this book, this is so. this is actually an old method. These days they use Microsoft Excel to, you know, or other softwares to compute the transaction that happen in a ledger. But I just wanted to know that when I mention the word ledger, I'm actually referring to a form of book where transaction is actually stored. And when I say centralized ledger, the book is not stored in your possession. It's stored in a centralized body possession. All right. So um let's before we move on, let's understand how the bank works. All right. The banks, you as an investor, you deposit money in the bank, and people come to borrow money from the banks. So when you deposit money into the bank, you store money in the bank might decide to give you, let's say, 2% interest. All right. And the people that are borrowing money from the bank can charge them and collect 6% interest for them. And that little 4% in between them, that is where the bank actually gets their profit from. And they also offer value added services like, bank transfer. You can purchase stock from through them, collateral, and all of that things. So, but this is not where we are going to actually. I just wanted to grasp the full information about how the ledger works in a centralized system like your banks, which you are very familiar with. Now we're going to relate it to blockchain. All right. So the blockchain is actually an opposite of what this centralized ledger is all about. All right. The blockchain is decentralized. Now we don't have a central body. We are removing the middleman. All right. We are removing this central body here. We are removing it from it, and we're going to show you how this person is removed and everything becomes perfect. All right. So what is blockchain? Let's understand what blockchain is all about. All right. Let's understand what blockchain is all about. What is blockchain? Um, Looking at the Wikipedia definition of blockchain, you can see that blockchain is a continuously growing list of record called blocks, right, which are linked and secured using cryptography. Please, this English is actually too big for some of us to understand, but I'm going to break it down for you guys to understand how this blockchain works. It's a very simple definition. This definition is here right here is a very simple definition. All right. So when they say a blockchain is a continuously growing list of records, I want you to just picture it in your mind that blockchain is just like that same book that we talked about. All right. Is that same book that we talked about, but in a digital form, in an electronic form. All right. Now they said is a continuously growing list of records. Now that list of records, let's just assume they are the pages of the book. All right, they call them blocks. In the book, you call them pages. In blockchain, you call them blocks. All right. So blockchain is a book that contains blocks, which you think they are the pages of the normal book. Blockchain is a continuously growing list of records called blocks, which are linked and secured using cryptography. Now, the difference between the book and the blockchain now is that the pages of your book are actually linked together, maybe using stapler. All right, they are linked together using stapler. You can use staple pins to staple it together, or you can use gum to, or this adhesive to attach them together. But in blockchain, we use what they call cryptography to pin them together. Now, this cryptography is very secure to the point that you can't remove any page. Unlike your book, it was just attached together. All the pages are attached together using stapled pins or gum, but which can be removed. Someone can come tomorrow and tear a page out of it, or someone can come tomorrow and add something to the transaction, a fake transaction that does not happen, and no one is going to know about it. So far he forges the signature and he used the same ink that was used to write those things there. But in blockchain, cryptography is used to link those pages together. All right, cryptography is used to link those pages together, and that cryptography is something that prevents anyone from adding a fraudulent transaction, and you can't remove a transaction from it. An existing transaction in the system, you can't remove it. It is practically impossible. Why is it impossible? You are going to understand along the line. I just want to understand the definition of blockchain. So if you have been hearing blockchain, 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 I believe by now you should understand the simple definition of this blockchain. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on. Um, Now let us look at how these blocks, all right, let's see how these blocks are linked together. Let's see how these blocks are linked together. Now, the block obviously is like a page in a book. Now, this block contains some informations, all right? The first information you are going to have on that in that block is your data. This data can be anything, can be Ali transferred this also amount to this person's account at this also time, this also date, and some other relevant information. So the block actually contains this data, and it also contains the previous hash. You're going to understand what this previous hash is. Now, when I talk about hash now, we are going to the cryptography part of the block. All right. So now, previous hash. Let's abandon this second previous hash. Let's abandon it for now. Let's talk about this hash. You're going to understand why I'm leaving this previous hash for now. This hash, let's see it as a fingerprint. You know, our fingerprints are actually different. Everyone's fingerprint in this world is different. So this hash also is different for every block. Any other block that comes after it is going to be different. This hash is going to be different. Now, what gives us this hash? What generates this hash? Is it that the hash already exists and when you just bring the block, it becomes no, it does not happen like that. This hash is actually generated from every every other data that come before it, the data and the previous hash, when you bring them together, with some other element, when you bring them together and put it in the system, they generate this hash for you. All right, I don't want to make it too complex for you, but just understand that this fingerprint you are seeing, which is the hash, is actually generated from the data and the previous hash of the block. Okay, so this hash is unique for every block. So what this means is that, let's assume this is what my block looks like. All right, let's assume this is what my block looks like. If someone comes tomorrow, a hacker for example comes tomorrow and he said, okay, it is not hello, you want to change this hello world, you want to change it to something else, you want to change it to hello world question mark. No matter how little he had, no matter how little he add to this data here, the hash is going to change. And once this hash change, the block becomes invalid. Automatically, everywhere is going to turn red. And we are going to understand how it is impossible for him to even attach that to a block and be successful with that. But I just want you to understand what is contained in a block. Now let's move on. Let's move on. Now, in a blockchain, in all forms of blockchain, you have been hearing different types of blockchain. We have the Solana blockchain, we have the Ethereum, we have many other blockchains. In every blockchain, there is always a first block. Just like in every book, we always have a first page. All right. So in every Genesis block, in every blockchain rather, we always have a Genesis block, which is the block number one. They call it the Genesis block. The Genesis block contains the data, which is obviously going to be in the blockchain, in the block itself. Now, the previous hash is automatically going to be zero, which we all know because there is no block zero. It actually starts from block one, so there is nothing like a previous hash in the blockchain. All right. So the data contained in this block is going to generate the what? The hash, as we have said earlier. All right. This hash is like the fingerprint. Now we're going to have a second block. Now you're going to understand the definition of blockchain right now. Now we have a second block. We have a second block. Now this second block is going to have its own data. Now it's going to have a previous hash because the block that came before it has this particular hash. As you can see, that's this hash. So it is linked to it. Now this second block is going to have its own hash. And what gives this second block its own hash is the combination of the data that is contained in this second block and the hash of the previous block. Now, if the hash of this previous block is tampered with, automatically the previous hash of this block is going to be tampered with and you are going to change the hash of this block. So you can see how linked this thing is together. You can see how linked they are together. Any fraudulent transaction that happened in the Genesis block, all right, any fraudulent transaction that happened in the Genesis block is going to affect the hash. All right, once it affects the hash, it automatically affects the previous hash of the second block. All right, so when it affects the previous hash of the second block, it automatically affects the hash of the second block too. So you are trying to say that this first block is invalid, the second block is invalid, and all the blocks that comes after it, because once the hash of this second block also become invalid, is linked to the third block, and so on and so forth. That's how um you continue to have failed transaction. And anyone that want to change the transaction in a block, um once the thing show invalid, it means that transaction he is trying to fix in the system is invalid. You have to mine that block. I'm going to explain mining later in our course. You have to mine that block, mine the block after it, mine, and that's a whole lot of stress, which is even practically impossible. So they are linked together. Alright, let's talk about the third block. The third block too is going to have its own data, then the previous hash of the second block, and that previous hash of the second block plus the data in the third block gives us the hash of the third block, and they are linked together using this chain. Now, what's the definition of blockchain? By now, I believe everyone should understand the definition of blockchain at this moment. We have blocks, we have series of blocks, which are like pages in a book that are linked together using a chain. That are linked together using a chain. Now, this chain is actually the previous hash of the block. So blockchain simply means um, series of blocks that are cryptographically linked together. Series of blocks. What is a block? A block is like a page of a book that contains transactions, that contains data, and each block must be linked together. They must be linked together. That's what makes it a blockchain. So simply, I believe everyone, even a 5-year-old kid listening to this webinar, is going to understand what this blockchain is all about. Now, as I said earlier, blocks are cryptographically linked together. Now, let's move on. Let's move on. Now, what is blockchain and cryptocurrency? Now, blockchain, as I've said earlier, is the technology of distributed ledger that gives control to the people instead of the bank. Now, I only explained one part of blockchain. I explained just only one part of blockchain, which is how the blocks are linked together. The second major characteristic of this blockchain is that now this blockchain you are seeing that contains series of blocks, that is this book that contains series of pages, this blockchain that contains series of blocks, they do not exist on in a centralized system. It does not exist in just a centralized system. It exists on every single computer. All right. So we have removed the middleman. If you look at this page here, there is no middleman here again. Now, this book exists in your computer. It exists in computer B. They call them nodes, actually. They call them nodes. As you can see, look at the ledger. It exists in this computer. It exists here. It exists here. It exists here. Now, they don't just exist there. They are linked together. Every computer, every node that hold the ledger are always linked together. So, if node A, for example, look at this node A here. If node A decides to, because it's holding the book, actually, it's holding the book. If it decides to change something in the blockchain, you decide to add something to the blockchain or remove something from the blockchain, you can see that everybody is linked. Node A is linked to A, B, C, and D. If you decide to change something, B is going to get notified, C is going to get notified, D is also going to notify that something is happening in node A. Something is happening in node A. Do you have that transaction in your own node? B is going to ask C, is going to ask D. It's not actually physical, it's computer actually. I'm just trying to make you understand how it works. All right. So B is going to get notified and is going to ask every other computers. This is just four computers here. I'm talking about millions of computers this time around. So when they see that it does not exist in any of their computers, or it exists in other computers too, because hackers can do anything, they can hack many other computers. What they are going to do there is that they are going to take a vote. You know what a vote is? They are going to look at the total number of computers, the percentage that have the highest um vote. For example, when they ask each other that, do you have this transaction node A is actually trying to fix in this system? If they say no, if more than 51% of all the computers, if more than 51% of all the computers don't have that transaction in their system, the system is automatically going to overwrite it. Node A node all the failed transaction, all the fake transactions in node A is automatically going to wipe off and is going to be replaced with the original transaction. So you can see how difficult it's going to be for a hacker to say he wants to add or remove something from the blockchain. He wants to change something in the blockchain. For you to be able to hack something in a blockchain, you have to hack up to 51% of the existing computers that have that ledger, and that is practically going to be is not possible. It's not possible. Don't even think of it, because we are talking of millions of computers this time around. So basically, you should understand that blockchain. There are two major characteristics of this blockchain, which I've mentioned. First is that the blocks, which are like pages of a book, are cryptographically linked together using that previous hash. You're going to understand how that hash work actually. They are linked together. And secondly is that this book or this blockchain, this ledger, this distributed ledger, does not exist in a centralized body like the centralized ledger here. It exists on every other computer. So by now you should understand how the blockchain works. All right. So blockchain is used to transfer money and is secured using cryptography hash. We're going to explain that later. Now, what is cryptocurrency? This is what many of us have been waiting for. What is cryptocurrency? By now, I believe you should have grasped you should have a definition of what cryptocurrency is all about with the little explanation I've made about blockchain. All right. So you should have a little understanding on how this blockchain, this cryptocurrency works. All right. So blockchain, all right, this is how it is. I'm going to explain this later. Now, what is crypto? Now, this word cryptocurrencies actually comprises of two words, crypto and currency. All right, what is crypto? Crypto is that blockchain that we just explained. All right, when something is linked together using cryptography, when something is secured using cryptography, when the previous hash of first block and second block they are linked together, that's cryptography. What is currency? Currency is the a value of money like your currency, currencies, like fiat currencies, what you use to do transactions. All right. So this time around, our digital currencies, our cryptocurrencies are not going to be our fiat currencies. They are currencies that have been created by the blockchain, in the blockchain rather, like your Bitcoin, Ethereum. Ethereum is actually not a cryptocurrency, it's a protocol, but we're going to explain that later. We have been hearing about a lot of cryptocurrency. We have Shiba Inu, we have Doge, we have thousands of them. If you go to Coin Market Cap or CoinGecko, I want you to go to CoinMarketCap after this tutorial. Go to CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, and um you see lots and lots of cryptocurrencies. Many of us are actually familiar with these cryptocurrencies, but you don't know how they work. So these currencies exist in the blockchain, and that is why they call them cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrency, actually, see, blockchain is not just all about money. It's not about currencies. You can see this circle I drew here. I'm going to explain Web 3.0 later. Now look at blockchain. Blockchain is actually a bigger picture. It's a bigger picture to this system. Cryptocurrency is the monetary aspect of blockchain. In a blockchain, in that ledger, is not just about um, currencies. It's not about transferring money. It's not just we just use blockchain to do monetary transaction, and that is why they call them cryptocurrencies. You can also create other things on the block. You can create social media apps. You can create many other things. You can create TikTok on the blockchain. You can do many other things. You can create Facebook on the blockchain. The main thing there is that the server is not going to be contained in the is not just going to be restricted to the Facebook office or their database. Their database or their server is going to exist on every other computer. So let's leave that for now. Cryptocurrency is actually currencies that exist in the on the blockchain. All right. So what is the difference between cryptocurrency and our fiat currencies? When I say fiat currency, I actually refer to government issued currencies. Now, on my screen, you can see the differences we have and crypto. Now, our fiat currency, the first example, the difference there is that the fiat currency is actually a physical medium of exchange. All right, naira, US dollar, GBP, euro, and Indian rupees, and many other currencies we have. They are actually physical medium of exchange. We have their physical cash and you can use it, you can touch it. All right, but cryptocurrencies are actually digital. They are digital medium of exchange. Okay, you can't touch Bitcoin. There's no coin. The fact that it is called coin does not mean it is it can be touched or it is a hard something. No, they are digital medium of exchanges. All right. So the second difference there is that um the fiat currencies can be represented by bills and coins, as we have said. They can be you can spend them using your coins or your paper money or whatever form it was created. But in cryptocurrency, they are represented with a private key and a public key. We're going to explain what this private key and public key is. Literally, this public key is like it's going to be like maybe in your form of address. You use it to receive money. You send it to people to help you to send money to it. Your private key you use it to you know confirm transactions that you want to make on the blockchain. We're going to explain that later. Don't let it confuse you. Yes, this third example is actually very important. It's very important. The fiat currencies have unlimited supply. That is, the government can decide to print any amount they need at a given period of time. All right, as we explained earlier, that U.S. government printed 20% of the money circulation this year. So the fiat currencies are unlimited and it causes inflation, obviously. While cryptocurrencies are limited in supply. So each cryptocurrency has a set of maximum, in maximum supply. Cryptocurrencies, once they are created, that's it. That's the total supply. The only thing you can do is to even cut short the supply. They call it burning, but we're going to explain burning later. So you can't create more. You can't create more cryptocurrencies. They are limited, and it causes what they call deflation. And deflation really helps the system. Now, the fiat currencies are actually issued by a government. All right, we all know that before now. And the cryptocurrencies are actually produced by computers. So every other computer can be a node. Okay, so the fiat currencies, they are centralized. Yes, we explained this earlier. They are centralized and they are issued and controlled by law and banks. These fiat currencies, which is our government issued currencies, they are issued by the banks and they are controlled. They are controlled by laws. There is a limit to which you can spend your money. The banks can tell you that the maximum you can spend in a month is $100. You know, all sort of things. And if you try to spend more than that, you will be penalized, which I believe many of us are frustrated by this. There are many other rules. There are many other rules that comes with this centralized or these fiat currencies. Now, in cryptocurrency, it is decentralized. There is no central body, no government or no entity is going to tell you how to spend your money or when to send the money or when not to spend your money and all of that. So it is being controlled by everybody. The only thing you just need to do is send your money, receive your money, hold, buy, sell. That's the only thing you need to do. There's nothing you can't even carry out a fraudulent transaction because the system is not open to that. Now, the last which I have here is that the fiat currencies are actually valued by, or the value of the currency is actually determined by the market and regulation. If something is happening in the country, a if there's a development in the country or if there's a crisis in the country, the fiat currencies can be affected. Or if there's a regulation that the government can decide now, if the economy of the country is bad, the value of dollar to naira can increase. Look at the year 2020. There was a time I used to purchase dollar at 360 naira per US dollar. Now look at it. Yesterday I purchased it at 580 naira. Look at how the fiat currency is being affected, or the value is being affected by what the economy is saying. But in cryptocurrency, the value is actually determined by the supply and demand. If people buy more of that particular cryptocurrency you are holding, the value becomes more. If people sell more of it, the value decreases. So it's actually determined by the activities of everyone in the system, not what the economy is saying. All right. So this is basically the difference between fiat currencies and cryptocurrency. And by now, I believe you should have a little understanding on how the fiat currencies work and how the cryptocurrencies also work. All right. We are going to talk about the evolution of web. Okay, I'll leave this aspect of evolution of web till another class, because some of us might get confused when I start talking about web 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. But let me just give you an insight on how this works. All right. So looking at web 1.0, there was a time in the year 1995 when Wikipedia and Netscape, when they came out. What this site, or this website then, what these websites have is just, they just give you information. You can't react to the information. It's a one way, it's a one-way message, one way communication method. All right. So if you look at Wikipedia, for example, you just have to visit the site, read what you have to read, and leave. All right. That is the mode of internet at that moment. So internet started growing along the line till when web 2.0 came. And this web 2.0, there was a two-way communication. Look at Facebook, for example, Airbnb. Look at your WhatsApp. You can actually send information, you can receive information and send. You know, you can also store data on the cloud. We have the Amazon cloud, we have the iCloud. We have different types of cloud. This time around, you can actually react to an information online. Unlike the web 1.0, when you just have to receive information, you can't react to it, you can't send an information to them on the internet. So web 2.0 actually overshadowed the web 1.0. Now, the web 3.0 is not actually new. Many of us have been hearing it this time around, and we don't know what it's actually about. So web 3.0 is here. Is not just coming. People used to make this mistake of saying web 3.0 is coming. No, web 3.0 is here, and it's here to stay. So the web 3.0 actually is more advanced than the web 2.0 in a way that the web is like a web 2.0 that is not based on a particular database. It's not going to be based on a centralized database. All right. For example, let's use Facebook as an example. Facebook is under web 2.0, right? So they have their server, which is stored where they store it. Let's assume we have a Facebook that this the server or the database is not stored in their database. It is stored in every other computer, like Bitcoin, the way Bitcoin and cryptocurrency work. So imagine they are being stored on every other computer. That is how Web 3.0 is. So everything is going to come to be decentralized. And that is one of the things that Ethereum is doing. Actually, it's already doing. So you can create decentralized applications on the Ethereum blockchain. Right. We're going to explain that later. I don't want to bore you with that. So Web 3.0 is actually an advanced Web 2.0 that keeps everything decentralized. All right. So basically, what Web 2.0 about um, is about mobile, social, and cloud. We have explained this. And Web 3.0 is about open, trustless, and a permissionless system. A system where, sorry, a system where everything is open, trustless, and permissionless. What do I mean by that? All right. Okay, I'm going to explain that later. So, is blockchain technology only about money? Yes, as I've said earlier, using that circle I drew, the circle I drew where we have Web 3.0 as a bigger picture, we have blockchain smaller, and the cryptocurrency a smaller picture. All right. So blockchain technology is actually not about Bitcoin and money, although the blockchain technology started when Satoshi Nakamoto came up with Bitcoin and he brought the blockchain, how the blockchain is going to work. So that is it. So, but other systems have come up after the blockchain technology, after Bitcoin was created, rather, and the like Ethereum, for example, they you know, Ethereum can be used not just for monetary transactions, but you can also use to create decentralized application. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just it was just created for monetary transactions. All right, it's just to transfer money, just to beat what the fiat currencies have been problems they are facing. But in Ethereum, it's not just about transferring money. You can create decentralized application. You can create a social media platform. All right. You can create a smart contract. You can create many other things, and you deploy the code on the Ethereum blockchain. You can create applications. You can create many things. All the any form of anything you know about this time around, any digital thing, you can create a you can create a software. You can create a software that does graphics design, that does animations, and you deploy them on this on the Ethereum blockchain, and the server of that application is going to run on every other node, every other computer surrounding it. So that is what Ethereum is actually based on. And you can also create NFTs. You know, many of us have been hearing about NFTs these days. NFTs, that's non-fungible tokens, and you can create avatars and all those things, and you'll be deployed on the blockchain also. So blockchain technology is not just about Bitcoin and money. You can create decentralized application. Today we are just going to we are talking about the introduction of currency and blockchain technology. So we may not go really deep into how to start making money, because obviously many of us are want to hear the part of how to start making money. But the truth about the whole matter there is that you can't make money. All right, you can't make money from cryptocurrency if you don't know what you are doing, if you don't understand how the system works. You see, many people, their comedies and their memes that you find online, that that you see people complaining or crying about them losing their money. Obviously people lose money in cryptocurrency, people gain money, just how it happens in the fiat currencies. Yes, people lose money in fiat currencies too. It's just that the fiat currencies make you think you are not losing your money. Look at the example of the inflation. You are losing your money too. But the truth there about the whole matter is that if you don't understand how the system works, you will continue to lose your money. Right? And that is why we are here. We are here to teach you how to how the system works, and how to prevent all these things. So why are we choosing Web 3.0 over Web 2.0? Web 2.0 actually started you know we are too dependent on this Web 2.0, to the point that they started from attracting us into their system, and they started extracting from us. All right, they can decide to destroy your business. Look at Facebook, for example. Imagine you having Facebook or Instagram or whatever platform where you attract your customers from, where you have followers on your Instagram, and Instagram decide to block your account. You have lost a lot of customers. Or you have WeChat, for example. Let me use WeChat for example. WeChat, you have a lot of contacts on your chat, and WeChat just decide that you have violated the rules. You don't know the rule you violated. Just told you that you have violated the rules, and they kick you out of the system. All the contacts you have gotten from it. If you are into e-commerce, you understand what I'm talking about. Mr. Julian James, you understand what I'm talking about this time around. So you lose all your contacts, and that's the end. All your chats, all the informations that you have gathered before, they are gone. So they attracted you to the system, that come to our system, you'll be able to interact with people overseas and so on and so forth. And when they attracted you to the system, they forgot about us and decided to, you know, take control over the whole system. But in Web 3.0, it's not going to be like that. The system is going to be decentralized. No one is going to govern the system. The system is going to be governed by everybody. You know, no one can punish you except 51% of the computer decide to punish you, which is not going to happen. All right, so that is how Web 3.0 is. It's open, it's open. That is the source code that was used to create the application or whatever you are deploying on the blockchain is easily accessible to everybody. Everyone can read the source code. If a cryptocurrency comes up now, someone creates a cryptocurrency, is not and his purpose for creating that cryptocurrency is to scam you. You as a person can read that contract. You can read it and say, "Whoa, this person from this contract, I think he wants to scam everybody." It's going to be very, very clear. All right. Unlike a site now, for example, a website. If someone create a website now on Web 2.0 and decide that this website he wants to use to be attractive to steal your credit card details, you won't know. You can't read the source code. You just have to trust your instinct, or know, decide to invest or not to invest. And on the line, if you are scammed, there's nobody to run to. But in the blockchain technology, it is not going to happen like that. Any cryptocurrency, any form of code that was deployed to the blockchain easily accessible to a single person. You can read the code and see how it's going to happen. All right. Don't worry, along the line, we're going to teach you how to avoid scams in this space. There are lots and lots of scams. There are lots and lots of scams that happen every minute in this space. But if you stay with us, you will understand how all this thing works. All right. It's also trustless. What I mean by trustless is that you don't have to have a third party in the system. You don't have to have a third party in the system that will, you know, that will start as a middleman between you and your enemy. I used to tell my students this thing. I used to say blocking technology actually, you know, makes you transact with your enemy without fear. So don't worry, this is how the system is. Now it's also permissionless in a way that you don't have to take permission from a government or a central body to perform a transaction in this space. All right, so that's all. That's what we are going to discuss for tonight. If we go back to, if you have a recap on what we discussed in the plan in our plan of attack, you see that we have actually covered all this. That is, we started from the evolution of money, and we move down to the centralized ledger work, how what is cryptocurrency and blockchain, the evolution of web, and we actually stopped at why we choose web 3.0 over web 2.0. And I believe by now everyone should understand how this system works. All right, so this is where we're going to stop for today. To avoid, there are different types of learner in this webinar. Some people are very fast learners, and some people don't understand things quicker than some people. So we're going to stop here for tonight. If any have any question, I believe it's um, time to ask those questions. So I believe by the end of this session, by the end of on the fifth day, everyone should be able to, call himself an investor, a crypto investor. All right, so this is where I'm going to stop here for today. I've done justice to this topic, so I'm going to hand over to the host now, Sajula and James.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ali. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful one. Honestly, you did justice to the topic tonight. I really appreciate you. And I also want to let the viewers know that the reason why we decide to start from the basic is so that there's something I used to tell people: before you actually think of earning, you should learn first. Okay. If you jump this stage of learning and you want to earn, you fall into the wrong hands and you might get scammed at the end of the day. All right, that's why we are taking it step by step. I know that some of us who are actually watching or who watch this video later on have actually gone past this level. Okay, but we are doing this for those who don't know jack about cryptocurrency and blockchain so that they will have a foundational knowledge of what they are going into. Because the worst thing that can happen to you is for you to jump into a business or a program, okay, without understanding how it works. Okay, so I want to appreciate those that actually stayed through to the end of this presentation, and also plead with us that if you are coming across this channel for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon. That's the notification icon, so that you will always get notification each time we drop a new video. And of course, don't also forget to share this information to your friends and your young people. We are going to continue this series. It's a step by step something until we get to the point where you now learn how to make money. All right, where you now learn how to actually trade. There are various ways you can make money via cryptocurrency and also using the blockchain technology. So we'll get to those levels, but we are trying to lay the foundations now so that you actually understand what you are getting yourselves into. All right. Once again, I want to appreciate Mr. Ali. It's not easy to, you know, dish out some of this information for free. And so I would really want to appreciate you, sir, for coming online. And I pray that God will bless you and reward you. And I also believe that tomorrow we'll have larger audience as we all go out there to, canvas about this class. Okay, it's a free class. All you need to do is just come, subscribe, and stay tuned to 9 p.m. when we'll come live again. So thank you very much and good night, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.